What is good, guys, man? Thank y'all for tuning back into the channel, man. If you're new, make sure you hit that sub button down below to be notified for every single video that I do drop, man. And how you know you're notified to the channel? When you hit that subscribe button, you hit that bell. Once you hit that bell, you press all. That's how you know you're notified, man. And also, man, y'all go follow the Instagram. You can type it in on your Instagram. It's Shawn91_. And the link is down below in the description, man. Once you get to 100 followers, I'm going to be dropping content on there. I just dropped my first picture today. So y'all go like that picture up. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all seen part 1, y'all know that somebody turned her face into a monkey by doing witchcraft, man. And I want to just give a shout out to the creator of this video. I'm going to start just putting the content creators information down there for now on, but her name is on YouTube is Miss Biblical Standards. It's gonna be down below in the description, man, for y'all can go to our channel, subscribe. So shout out to Miss Biblical Standards if you are watching this video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this good content, man.
And the cycle just keep going over and over again, right? So the next week come and I'm like, you know what? I have to go to school because I have SBAs to finish. And so I went to school and I had a big old towel over my head. And when I got to school that morning, no, this is week 3. I got to school that morning. There was a howl at the school gate. But there was a weird thing about this owl. This owl had a head of a man. Like it was a owl, but I could see the head of a man on this thing. And I was like, wondering if I'm delusional or something. I was looking at this owl and I'm like, what in the world is this? And it's right at the gate. It's right at the gate and I see people walk. I'm always early, by the way. And I see kids walking in, but for some reason I couldn't walk in. And I'm like stopping people and asking them, do you see that owl at the gate? And they're like, no. But a young lady was passing and I said to her, morning, what is at the gate? And she said that she see an owl with a man head. So I know I wasn't crazy and I was like, oh my God, you know what? I'm going in with this girl. I'm going to go in regardless. And I went in. When I went in, we had an exam to do. When I got in the room where the exam was, you know, when I got in the room where the exam was, I had to call the invigilator and I said to the invigilator that, listen, I am going to fall asleep. I don't ask me how I know. I don't know. Because at this point, remember, I'm not saved. So I don't know anything about spiritual stuff. So I called the invigilator and I said to him that, listen, I'm going to fall asleep more than 5 times while I'm in this exam. Each time you see me fall asleep, come and wake me up, please. And he was looking at me crazy like, okay. Anyway, while I spoke to the invigilator and I was sitting there waiting for them to, you know, tell us that it is time to start the test, the same owl flew in the classroom, the big auditorium, flew in there, circle, and come stop right at my foot. Right at my foot. The thing fell right at my foot. And the invigilator was looking at me like, what just happened? You know? And I screamed. I was like, ah! In Jamaica, they don't say owl, they say rat bat. I'm like, rat bat. And he came and the thing get up and flew out. And I kid you not, as soon as the thing flew out and the exam started, 2 minutes in, I fell asleep. And the guy had to wake me up. And after the exam was finished, I asked him how many times I fell asleep. And he told me. I was like, oh my God. And he was looking at me like, how did you know? Like, how did you know that this is going to happen? And, you know, how? And I was there and I was like, how did this thing happen? So I started to backtrack and I remember a few weeks ago, before all of this started to happen, I couldn't find one of my books. I looked everywhere for that book. I couldn't find the book. And I remember that during that time when I got sick, the book popped up and I just took it up and put it in my bag with all the other books. I didn't think nothing of it, obviously. And I remember that I had gotten this little, I don't know if y'all remember the little tops, the little cover up thingies, the little cover up things that you put over spaghetti straps and stuff, tank tops. I had one of those, brand new, white, and someone was asking, do you have that? And I said, yes, I have one, could give. New, it was new and everything, never worn or anything. It was in my clothes though, but it was never worn. Tag and everything was on it when I gave it to the person, right? So I gave it to the person, and the person wore it, I guess, and the person brought it back. And I said, no, you could keep it. It was new. You could keep it. And they went away with it, right? They went away with it. And I remember going to school again the next day, and the person came back with the shirt. Came back with it. And my sister was home at the time, my big sister, and she took it. She took it and she had it there amongst my stuff, right? And when I got home, she said, you know, that this was brought back, and I put it there. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's done. It's here already, so what can I do? But everything was already mixed in. You know, so this is being shown, like it's being brought back to my remembrance now that I'm in this position where my face is swollen and I'm looking like a chimpanzee. I remember those two events that took place that led up to this. Right after those two things took place is when this sickness that I'm now faced with, that I'm talking about, occurred. So there was a connection, right? Cool. So I was there, and I remember that this pastor, we went to this pastor because they said that he was a deliverance pastor. He was a deliverance pastor, and he could pray for me and help me to, you know, get back to normal. So we went to this pastor and he prayed. But I remember that morning when we were going to this pastor, it's like I was shown a dream. I had a dream where I saw a car, a white car. They called it deportee, a white deportee. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but a white deportee car. And I saw the license plate, and I saw this big fat lady. I saw this big old fat lady sitting on a hill with her head wrapped. Big old fat lady. And she was huffing and puffing, sitting there on the car, going up the hill. And it stopped on top of the hill, and she stood there. She came out and they interacted and everything. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what kind of dream this? And I told the dream to my mother, and so, but we went on our way, went to the pastor. And when we got there, he said to me that you had a dream. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I'm not here to send back anything. I hope you didn't come for me to send back anything to nobody, because I'm not a hobby man. I'm not a hobby man. And I'm like, oh. Like, no, we're not a hobby man. So they say you're a pastor. You're a pastor. You do deliverance and stuff. And so he prayed for me, and I felt better when he prayed for me. He prayed for me, and I felt better, and he gave me olive oil or something. He gave me an oil, right? He gave me an oil, and I felt better when he prayed and stuff, and I went home. When I went home and I got back, I mind you, while this is happening and all that stuff, I didn't vomit or anything, nothing. I didn't vomit, I didn't throw up, I didn't nothing. He just prayed and gave me an oil and all of that. I don't know anything about this. Mind you, I'm not a Christian. My mother is not a Christian, but we have Christian relatives and stuff. So we went to this pastor. Now I remembered I was good. After he prayed, I was good, right? And he told me not to take anything from anyone, not to give my stuff out to anyone. But when I got home and stuff, after a while, after a week, I went right back to being sick. Felt sick again. I felt weird again. And I went back outside and I sat on the log, right? When I sat on the log, the same voice that I heard the first time came back to me and he said, "Are you going to sit here and die?" And I got up. When I tell you, I was so weak. My legs had no strength. My head was all jumbled. I felt so sick, like I was about to give up the ghost at any moment. I felt so sick. But while I was sitting there, I started to remember, even though my mind was jumbled, I started to remember the story about Gideon. I started to remember this story so strongly. So I said no. I looked up in the sky and I said, God, if you are hearing me, if you see my condition, please, I'm asking you to help me. And while I said that, I said, if there is a God now. Because when I said that, I was there and I'm like, all right, just like Gideon, I'm going to prove if there is a God. If you are real, Lord, if you are real and you are hearing me and you see my condition that I am in at this moment, I'm going to ask you, just like Gideon, to show me a sign. Let it rain on me and let the ground around me remain dry. And I kid you not, as soon as I opened my mouth and said that, just like Gideon, I said, just like the Bible story, when Gideon asked you for a sign, I'm asking you for a sign because I cannot die like this. And I kid you not, the clouds burst open in the sky and it rained on me. I was soaking wet. Hello? I was soaking wet. My mom ran out and said, "Oh, you're wet, what happened?" And I said, I was talking to God. And he allowed rain to fall on me. And she started to cry, saying that I'm loco. She started to cry. She cried and she went back into the house. Like she's saying, "Oh, my daughter is going crazy now." So I was like, okay, that's the first part of the test. Because listen, I read it in a scripture. I read it. When I was reading for my grandmother, I read it. So I knew it was there. And so I walked towards the gate now and I stood at the gate. And I said to the Lord again, just like Gideon, he said, don't be mad at him, but I'm going to ask you for one more sign to make sure that you are the one that answered me just now. You are the one that responded just now. And let me tell you that as soon as I finished speaking, I said, Lord, let the rain fall on the ground this time, just like what Gideon said to let it fall on the fleet. And I kid you not, immediately rain came down again and it wet the ground around me. It wet the ground around me where I was standing, and it didn't fall on me this time. And my mom came out again as a witness. And she said, what happened? I said, it was raining right here. And she said she saw it raining. And when she come out, it was only that portion. Okay? So, that time my confidence was built. And I said, I know God hear me. And he will deliver me. He will deliver me. At the time now, one of my cousins, she was baptized. And she was going to church. So I decided to go with her. And my friend was there. And I met a minister at the church that my great grandmother goes to. Was there, and I explained the situation and everything that happened to him. And he said, this was a Friday, because they were having youth gathering, that this was a Friday. And he said, come to church on Sunday. And so I said, okay, I was getting ready and everything, excited to go to church. On the Sunday morning when I was supposed to go to church, I started to feel like I didn't want to go, but I still pushed to go. I still pushed to go. And when I got there and service was going on, mind you, my mouth was still a little bit swollen. It wasn't all the way swollen as it was before. But while I was sitting in the church, while worship was going on, my mouth started to itch. But I didn't pay it any mind because I know it was swollen. So I was like, maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable, you know. So I didn't pay it any mind. Fast forward to when the preacher went on. When he went up and he started preaching his message. He started preaching, and for some reason when he was preaching, I know what it is, but when he was preaching at that time, I didn't know what was going on. He was preaching and I felt so uncomfortable. I wanted to leave. And while he was there preaching and going on, my mouth swole up right back to what it was looking like before. A living monkey I looked like in that church all over again. And I was I got up crying, got up ready to run through the door. And he cut his message and say, "You come here." Ask me how I got to the altar. I don't know. I know nobody came for me, but ask me how I got to there. I don't know. When I got to the altar and he started to speak, I remember that my lip, there was a big old thing on the inside that was swollen and filled with mucus. And while he was there talking, it was itching, and it burst. It burst, right? After it burst, he was there talking and he was speaking to whatever it is that was on me, or whoever it is that was on me. He was speaking to it and he was blasting it. And I fell on the ground. This part now, I'm unaware. From the moment I got to the altar, I'm unaware. When the thing burst, I'm completely unaware. I don't know what happened after that fully. But what he explained to me afterwards, he said when he started to minister to me and what was in me, because I believe the thing was in me. What was in me, he started to pray and he started to rebuke and cast out and cast down and all of that. I levitated off the floor. I got up off the floor about yay high. This is the floor, and I got up off the floor, floated off the floor like this. They said they have never seen anyone.
Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. I ain't never seen nothing like that. Not in no church. Y'all comment down below y'all seen something like that, man. Let's continue with the story. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I levitated in a deliverance before. While he was there praying and rebuking, I got up off the ground. Nobody lifted me. I got up off the ground while he was praying. Levitated and fell back on the ground. And I started throwing up. While he was there praying and rebuking and calling names, and so I started throwing up. Mind you, this was after the testimony I shared about the gun sticking. This was after that time. Shortly after. It wasn't long. It was shortly after, because remember, in that previous vlog, in that previous video, I mentioned that, Lord, if you save me from this, I will serve you. But I didn't move immediately. And so this thing occurred afterwards. Not too long. Maybe a few months apart. It happened. And I was completely delivered. When he prayed and he touched me, when I got up and got back to my real self, The swelling was gone. The discoloration was gone. Everything that I was facing was gone. Completely gone. And I was in so much shock and awe. I was there crying and I was thanking God. I was thanking God. I was thanking God. And I said, Lord, I am definitely going to surrender to you. Because how much you love me to do this for me. Twice. Twice. He saved me twice. He rescued me twice. And someone worked witchcraft on me, turning me into a monkey. And he said, the only thing, you are very lucky, the only thing was left for you to do to die was your hands to go like this. You know how monkeys walk. Was your hands to do like this. I tell you, literally, I was being turned into a vegetable. I was being turned into a monkey. That was one of the scariest things I've ever been through. But I share this testimony to let somebody know that once there's a purpose on your life, once the Lord has mandated you, has predestinated you for a mission, for a task, for a mandate, placed a mantle upon your life, no devil in hell can kill you. No witch, no warlock can kill you. No matter what, they can't take you out before your time. They cannot take you out before your time. The witchcraft cannot kill you before your time. The car accident cannot kill you before the time. Whatever it is cannot kill you before your time. So as I look in this camera and I speak to someone that is going through a situation where it looks dark, where it looks as though you aren't gonna make it out. You can't make it out of this one. I stopped by here to let you know that there is nothing that Yeshua cannot do. There is nothing that Jehovah Gibor cannot battle his way through for you. He is the forever reigning champion, and no devil in hell can stand up against him. He is forever victorious. So whatever your situation is, whatever you're going through, just know, without a test, you can't have a testimony.
I absolutely love her testimony, man. A lot of y'all in the comments talking about that she was on some type of drugs or something like that, and I don't think that's the case, man. No, this stuff is real. I done heard stories from other people, you know what I'm saying, but as far as her story, like for real, her levitating in church and turning into a monkey, bro, like, it's a lot of things we don't know that is out here that people can do to each other. Like I said, the message is always stay close to God. Pray. Pray. You don't know who's around you that don't want the best for you. Ask God for that discernment for the people that are around you. Protect you from anybody that's trying to harm you and keep you out of harm's way. Everybody does not have your best interest. You can meet a stranger on the street and they can be doing some type of weird witchcraft, whatever the case may be. Stay prayed up. Every day you wake up, stay prayed up before you leave out the house. The devil is busy. He busy. But as long as you stay connected to God, and I don't care what you're going through, keep God close to you, for sure. He will take care of you. I believe everything that I'm saying right now, and you should too. Her testimony is crazy. Her link to her YouTube and her TikTok will be down below in the description. Go show us some love. Subscribe to her TikTok and her YouTube, man. Listen, guys, man, at the end of my videos, I always say stay inspired, stay motivated, stay grinding. Until next video, I'm out of here. Peace.